He asked me if I'd ever heard of a man named Dr. Sebi, because he'd like to meet you. I jumped 360 pounds, smoking cigarettes, probably as we were speaking. I'm like, what would he want to meet me for? The first time that I was ever called to do a consultation for a terminal client, we watched her kick cancer's butt. I have witnessed people heal themselves from damn near everything I could think of. Multiple sclerosis, HIV, HSV, that's the big one, man. Herpes. My youngest daughter was on the way. And I just realized that I wanted something different.
Peace, tribe. Welcome to another episode of Young, Black, and Vegan. I'm your host, Keith Terrell. Now, today, special episode. I'm actually at Beyond Vegan, about to sit down, talk to my man, Cameron Moore, owner of Beyond Vegan. It's a place where I can actually get some good, high quality vegan food, alkaline. We're gonna talk about all of that, but yeah, welcome to the show, my man, Cameron Moore. Cameron,
what's up, brother?
Good to have you on, man.
Glad to be here, brother.
Yes.
Glad to be here.
So we're gonna dive into the food. What we're eating right here.
Man, we got this dish, we call it the OG. And it's got that name because most of us, when we start this particular journey of trying to be alkaline, man, and we get a copy of like Sebi's list, there's a lot of stuff that's not on there. There's very few things. And this is kind of like the default dish, man. We end up, getting some squash and some zucchini, peppers, and just kind of sauteing them up and putting it with some quinoa or wild rice.
Okay.
And so we put that on the menu as a staple item, man, and people love it.
That's one of the things about vegan food and traveling that I find is that a lot of times it's hard to find vegan places that actually have vegetables,
right?
You know what I mean? It's a lot of comfort food out there, so I appreciate having a place where I know if I want something healthy, I can come here. I want to dive into your story a little bit.
I really came out to Los Angeles in the music and record business, entertainment, picked up some really unhealthy lifestyle habits in that business. At one point, I was up to like 360 pounds.
Which you weigh how much now?
I'm about 200 pounds.
200, so 160 pounds heavier.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a whole person.
Yeah.
Just really unhealthy lifestyle. Smoking cigarettes, about a pack a day, drinking heavy, literally like a gallon a week of vodka. That was my drink.
Wow.
I didn't really understand what was happening. I thought I was having a good time.
Yeah.
You get so used to feeling bad that you forgot what feeling good is like, right? And it just creeps up on you. And I realized, imagine me putting a 160-pound person on my back and just walking around with them all day, every day. Man, the stress on the body, the stress on the bone structure, the stress on your organs, I got a call from a gentleman who would become a friend and a mentor of mine later down the road. I had no idea at that point. He asked me if I'd ever heard of a man named Dr. Sebi, because he'd like to meet you.
This episode of Young, Black, and Vegan is sponsored by Connect Chocolate, a small family-owned project based in Northern California. They are deeply committed to sourcing the highest quality, direct fair trade, indigenous-grown heirloom cacao, honoring sacred traditions while making plant medicine accessible to those who need it most. Now, I've been using their product for the past year, and I absolutely love it. I love the Thai Manifest to microdose on when I'm going to get a workout. The focus that I get and the pump that I get is amazing. And when I want those deep meditations, I love the African Guru, and their mission extends beyond cacao. They stand strong with veterans and first responders, offering sponsorships and permanent discounts to support their healing journeys. Connect Chocolate isn't just about providing plant medicine, it's about building a movement rooted in trust, reciprocity, and community. Their dedication to this path is evident in their work, including sponsoring a fully deaf spiritual retreat in Massachusetts, ensuring that plant medicine reaches those answering its call. This partnership is about more than just a product. It's about a shared vision for healing, connection, and transformation. Thank you again to our sponsor, Connect Chocolate. I'm looking forward to trying out these other bars. Check out connectchocolate.life today.
Because he'd like to meet you.
Yeah.
I jumped 360 pounds, smoking cigarettes, probably as we were speaking. I'm like, what would he want to meet me for? And so we did. We met, man. And Sebi was infectious, man. It was just kind of like his energy was bigger than everything. Sebi met me and embraced me in a really beautiful way and wanted to help the mission and with the water. And he understood how important it was for us to control our own resources. He became a customer, and he began to recommend our water to all of his clients and patients and stuff. Over time, I would never send one of the employees to take his water. I would always take it myself, and he'd get 40 cases every week. While they would be unloading the water, he and I, we'd just be sitting and talking, and what went from sitting down talking for 30 minutes while they unload turned into hour, turned into 4 hours, turned into 6 hours, and then it turned into twice a week. A few things happened during those exchanges. My youngest daughter was on the way, and I just realized that I wanted something different.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want my youngest baby to just know her dad for smelling like cigarettes and liquor, and wanted her to see that I could be dynamic and capable of change and setting an example. And so at a certain point, I made that decision that I wanted to make some changes in my life. And man, very soon after that, I figured out that that was what I wanted to do with the rest of my days. That I wanted to teach people how to heal themselves naturally with food and with herbs. Initially, I was on it crazy, 100 and something pounds gone, just like that.
How long did that take?
About 14 months.
14 months.
Yeah.
You said 100 pounds.
Yeah, no, like 140.
140
in 14 months. Right.
Okay.
I started initially selling herbs. Started in the Baldwin Crenshaw Mall. I began to understand, man, that the problem was here first.
Yeah.
There was a particular mentality and a mind state that we were dealing with, that we had to get past that before we could even convince people that there was any value in changing what they are putting in their bodies. Originally, it was really discouraging and really disappointing, man. I watched them, they would walk right past my shop. They would tell me my stuff was too expensive. They would tell me they didn't need that. And I'd watch them literally stand in line to get Air Jordans.
Yeah.
And run in and out of the beauty supply. And so that thought process is that we care a lot about how we present. We care a lot about how we look on the outside, and what's happening inside is secondary. And it's actually backwards.
Right.
Throughout this lifetime, we're gonna have so many pairs of shoes. We're gonna have so many cars. You're only getting one of these vessels, man.
One body.
One. What I found is I stopped trying to tell people anything unless they were asking.
Yeah.
We only got so much energy that we can produce at a given time. Using that energy on someone who actually wants to know is a much better outcome. It's a much better use of that time and energy.
And when you do that, you realize that that's actually a full-time endeavor. The more you learn about yourself, especially, I can speak for me being on the journey and the path that I've been on. Like, as I dive deeper and you think you know yourself, there's always another level. And so that gives you more compassion for people. But then, like you said, being that example, like, I've talked about doing ayahuasca and working with plant medicine and everything. And so then I talk to family members and they're like, yo, I was thinking about doing it. Like, people I would have never guessed, but they were like, yeah, I heard you talk about it. I heard Andre 3000 talk about it. So, this whole veganism, all of it is part of the spiritual journey. So it was 10 years ago when I went vegan. And so I wouldn't say I had a huge wake up call. There weren't any health issues, but I worked in the emergency room for 6 years and I worked on an ambulance for 2 years. So I always saw the long-term effects of what you put in your body. And so for me, I've always been into health and fitness. It was the logical next step to go vegan. And 10 years later, I see how that was really the beginning of getting me to where I am now with exploring things like the plant medicine and opening the consciousness. And, I feel like with those people that were walking by your shop and the people where it's kind of hard to get through to them, part of that has to do with the food as well and the parasites and how these things affect you, right? Can you kind of talk a little bit about that? Have you discovered that in your research?
I have, man. I was having a conversation with someone yesterday about this concept of there really being 3 different bodies here. Right? So there's the body that's really us, our organs, the part that really makes up this vessel. Then there's this whole other layer of microorganisms that make up a huge part of us. And we're totally oblivious. All these microorganisms. And man, they got a vote.
Yeah.
They have a vote. They have a say-so in what's going on in our body. They make up an ecosystem. And so some of these thoughts that we're having, and it's all science. This is not like some way out woo-woo stuff. This is science.
Right.
They are secreting chemicals. They are secreting things into our bloodstream that is informing how we feel. It's informing our thoughts. And so they must be accounted for. We must recognize that. Some of these cravings that we're having, man, that's those microorganisms. We call them parasites, we call them worms, we call them all types of things.
Right.
But these microorganisms are in there. And the other part that's in here is waste. We call it weight. Two things, interchangeable. Weight and waste, excess weight and waste, that's the same thing.
Yeah.
And so we're really walking around with all three of these. And the idea is to, be able to separate those things and be able to get those other parts that are not contributing to our best selves and get those under control. We're not getting rid of all the microorganisms. We don't want to. And that's another thing, a thought process that we got to get past. A lot of these microorganisms are really good for us. They are essential to life. They make up our gut biome. They make up our immune system. They make up all these things. And so when we start to eat better, we start to think better.
Yeah.
As we begin to think better, we begin to do better. And all of this stuff goes along. So that's why when people talk, they throw around the word holistic. And really, they used to talk about that word a lot more. You don't hear it quite as much anymore. But it has to be that type of approach. I think it was divine, the timing that Sebi came to us. I honestly think that some years down the road,
Yeah.
he'll be remembered and memorialized like some of the great prophets, because he brought a message, man, that I've watched it. It's just caught fire. Like there's no putting it back in the bag. And what happened is I always think that Sebi is one of our biggest and most powerful leaders.
Yeah.
He may not get the credit that some of our leaders have gotten in the past. And when I say our, I'm talking about people of color and your Malcolms and Martins and all these folks.
Yeah.
But there's this thing about an army marches on its belly. And so whatever it is that we're talking about a struggle with, whether it's a struggle for opportunities in career, in entrepreneurship, a struggle in the streets, or whatever it is, man, our struggle ain't the same if we're not healthy. How are we gonna show up?
Yeah.
It's like, how are we gonna get out of that 9 to 5 and get this small business of ours that we've been thinking about for a long time? How are we gonna get it done when by the time 5 or 6 o'clock rolled around, we don't have no energy?
Right.
We have no energy. We got nothing left to do anything else for ourselves. But man, if you change what you're putting in your body, you change that up, man, you will have that energy. And so it's like this trickle down effect. And when Sebi came along, well, when leaders in the past came along, it's kind of like they died and the message died with them.
Yeah.
But man, Sebi came right at this cusp of where information began to be memorialized, information began to move at the speed of light. YouTube became a thing, Instagram became a thing, Facebook became a thing, and it just started. And what that meant was that not only was Sebi able to reach what he thought was his core audience, he was able to reach the kids too. And we see it, man. We see youngsters on fire about eating clean, like they don't want no junk. They are strict. And so Sebi's message was one that got carried on. And really what we're all doing is we're taking information from those that came before us and we're adding a little bit on it, adding a little bit on it. We do a little bit more research, and what we do is we get a little bit closer to reverse engineering the owner's manual. We were given this machine, which without argument is the most advanced piece of machinery ever known. You know, Sebi did a lot of research, and I really love that about it, that he put the science behind it, and he studied foods, and he wanted to know what was this food's genetic makeup, what was its lineage, when did it first start being cultivated, when did people first start raising these crops, when did people first start eating it. And what he found was that a lot of the food was compromised. It was either genetically modified or hybridized, meaning that it wasn't originally on this planet. And so the further that we get away from these original plants, the harder it is for the body to decipher it. Food is data, food is information. And so, you know, Sebi is known for the big court case. And a lot of people don't really understand what that case was about. And the way that he was able to maneuver in that case was by proving to people that he wasn't giving folks medicine, he was giving them food. People get, you know, weirded out when we start talking about herbs, but they're nothing but food, concentrated food sources. And so when we send these types of products off to laboratories and they break them down, what they come back with is that everything in there is consistent with being food for a human being. It ain't medicine. It's just giving the body the things that it needs in order for it to do what it needs to do.
What are these foods that are causing the mucus and putting the illness into the body and that we should cut out? And then alternatively, what foods should we be putting in that promote health?
So I spoke on a panel this past weekend, and there was a kind of a similar question, and it was like, okay, where do we start? What can we do? Well, a great place to start would be stop thinking that your food should have so many ingredients. The food is the ingredient. Like, why should there be this long list of stuff in your food? So now you don't have food, you have a product. Right? And so a great place to start is just starting to read labels.
Yeah.
If there is something on that label and you don't know what it is, it can be safe to just say, hey man, I'm not eating that. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
That's a really long word. It seems like I might have to have like an advanced chemistry degree to understand I'm not eating it.
Yeah.
I'm just simply not gonna eat that. Move on. It does two things. Obviously, you're gonna be better off for it. You're not putting chemicals and strange substances in your body. The other thing is eventually you will make the food companies respond. You will make the grocery stores respond. Yeah, they ain't eating that.
Yeah.
Hey man, I want better options in here. I'm not eating that. Let's get some cleaner stuff. So with the foods that are causing this, what's happening is that we're taking in food that the body doesn't understand. It doesn't know what to do with. It doesn't know how to break it down. It doesn't know how to assimilate it. And the food is being seen as an intruder. And your body is having an immune response to it. And that immune response is where the mucus is coming from. We call it mucus, we call it inflammation. Inflammation is a response. It's your body's own response to something. It's not something coming from the outside, it's your body's response to something. And so what happens is we're constantly bombarding our body with foods that it doesn't, I hate to even call them foods, these food-like substances that the body doesn't understand, doesn't know what to do with, takes so long for it to break it down. It's throwing this at it, throwing that chemical at it, trying to deal with it. What normally ends up happening is it starts moving it to the side. And these foods are basically breaking down into acidic forms. And the body's response to this acid is to create these white blood cells or leukocytes. And as these white blood cells or leukocytes break down, This is where the mucus is coming from. And the mucus begins to coat our cells, our tissues, and our organs. And over time, this coating, it starts off very thin, but over time it gets thicker, thicker, and thicker, thicker. And now we have cells, tissues, and organs that are essentially cut off. They're cut off from proper blood flow. They're cut off from proper nutrition. They're cut off from proper oxygen levels. They're cut off from proper hormones. They're just out there. They're not getting what they need.
Yeah.
And that is where the degradation and these things start to happen. The cells can't function properly. And this is where the things that we start to call disease are happening. It's not something from the outside. It's something that's happening inside of us. And, when the cells don't get what they need, they go into panic mode because they know that death is imminent for that cell. And they do a few things. And one is they begin to replicate and reproduce. It's in us, and it's in the smallest part of life has that same instinct to replicate or reproduce before dying off. That is the natural order of things. That is how our body recreates itself. That is how we heal. But that's assuming that the cells are in good shape. See, a sick, compromised, degraded cell is never going to make anything other than another sick, compromised, degraded cell. Right. It's like a snapshot. When mitosis happens, when they split, when they multiply, they're going to take a snapshot of who they are right then. That's what they're going to make another one of. And so that is how what we call disease and stuff starts to flourish. So foods that we shouldn't be eating over-processed foods. I am of the belief that we should not be eating flesh. I don't think that flesh is optimal for us. We should not be eating highly hybridized and genetically modified foods. We should not be eating things that are becoming glue-like in our system. A lot of the processed wheats and a lot of the processed flours and breads and starches, we want to stay away from most of those starches. We want things that move through very easily. We want things with a high water content. A mostly fruit diet is probably optimal for us.
Yeah.
So, there's levels to it, right? I think that if we are looking at an optimal lifestyle, I think that we should be primarily frugivores, eating mostly fruit and berries, fruits, berries, melons. And then I think that we should be primarily juicing veggies. We need to eat some, but juicing them to get the level of nutrients that we need to get out of the veggies. I think we're gonna need to juice some.
Yeah.
To get that level of chlorophyll and those really good things that are coming out of there. A lot of this is discouraging to people. They're like, oh shit, I'm over here. Mm-hmm. I'm eating everything. Anything that don't eat me first. How do I get way over there? What he's talking about? He's talking about I should only be eating fruit.
Yeah.
It doesn't take perfection. It doesn't take perfection for us to not have acute and chronic disease. It doesn't take that. And we each choose our level. The thing is, start someplace.
Yeah.
Start someplace, and what we hope happens is that there's a snowball effect. Like, man, I made this change. Wow, I could tell the difference. That feels good. What would happen if I doubled down and made another change and put that on top of it? Establish a lifestyle that's going to be sustainable for a lifetime.
Yeah.
There's no use in starting something now that you're not going to be able to carry on.
Right.
And so, I see them come in, man, and they gung ho, right? I'm alkaline. And they be alkaline for all of 90 days. Yeah. And then after that, bro, it's like, I'd rather let's establish something that's clean lifestyle, and let's just do that consistently, man.
Obviously, you had a lifestyle change. Your success story, lost 160 pounds. In helping people transition to, a healthier diet and lifestyle or live it, what success stories have you seen with your clients?
Oh, wow.
You know, some of the top ones, to name a few.
I've seen it all, brother.
Yeah.
I've seen it all. And so I guess to frame it first, I am of the belief that there's almost nothing that the body can't come back from and can't heal itself from,
Yeah.
given the right materials and a sufficient amount of time. With that being said, I guess I would start with a story. It's like, I can remember the first time that I was ever called to do a consultation for a terminal client.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about someone who had a diagnosis that said that they were going to die, and a prognosis that said that they were going to die within 60 days to 6 months.
Yeah.
And I will never forget that. It's like they found me somehow because I've never advertised. And I remember getting that call and going over to the house, and it's one of them things where it's like 4 generations in there, and it's the matriarch of the family that's sick, and everybody's in there. Children, grandchildren, cousins, aunties, uncles. They looking at me, and I'm looking at them. I'm like, wow, okay. I definitely believe in what I believe in, and I've done the work. Let's see.
Yeah.
And we watched her kick cancer's butt. Like, what? And it's always, and mind you, that was the first.
Yeah.
It's been a lot since then. We've been at this for 10 years. And it was like, come back a month later. She like, hey, you know, they said it hasn't spread anymore.
Yeah.
Okay, aggressive cancer, it's not spreading anymore. All right, come back. It's shrinking. What'd they say? They said, we're gonna keep monitoring and keep doing what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
3 months down the road, they wanna know what I'm doing. What should I tell them? Hey man, tell them it's a healthy lifestyle change. I'm putting clean stuff in my body. 6 months, when they said that she'd be dead for sure, remission. What? Remission, yeah. And so that was the first one, right? And I was a little angsty. It was like, oh man, pressure. It gets to a point sometimes where I almost start to believe it's too easy.
Yeah.
Like, man, just change what you put in your body. And, you know, cleanse and detox. And so at this point, I have witnessed people heal themselves from damn near everything I could think of.
Yeah.
Multiple sclerosis, HIV, HSV, that's the big one, man. Herpes, it's like this thing, everybody running around with it. People ain't talking about it. It's probably the most popular thing that people come here for. And we see them knock it out. You know, lupus, sickle cell.
And when you say knock it out and seeing these things reverse, is it just the symptoms, or are they going to the doctor?
They're going to the doctor.
And it's no longer showing up on a test.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Both.
Yeah.
Both things are happening. You know, with those two things in particular, cancer and herpes, it's like those two things are in vogue. It's like everybody got it. And what I tell people is we all have it all the time.
Yeah.
We all have cancer all the time. What is cancer? Cancer is cells that are not doing what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
Cells that have gone rogue, they've gone off the program. Out of the 1+ trillion cells in your body, but better believe some of them not doing what they're supposed to do right now at this moment. Same thing over here. They're not doing what they're supposed to do. But normally there's a corrective mechanism. The brain is in charge. The cells that are close to those cells that aren't doing what they're supposed to do, they snitch. Get on the phone and call up to the brain like, hey man, these folks down here ain't doing what they're supposed to do. Brain sends help. And normally that's the process, and it's corrected through the lifestyle, through years of putting the wrong things in our body. And don't mistake this. Some of it was passed down to us.
Yeah.
We're talking about things that are multi-systemic and multi-generational. Our parents didn't know how to eat right either. Our grandparents didn't know how to eat right either. Most of us, if we follow the lineage, it was a slave diet that went into a soul food diet that went into the standard American diet, and all of those are killers.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we tell folks, I tell people, we all have these things all the time. All we got to do is get into a space where our body, the corrective mechanisms are back in place, and they have the ability to do what they need to do. And what always happens is that we do consultations, and I'm sitting across from someone like you. We're having a consultation. We're talking about where they've been health-wise, what their journey looks like, where they're at now, and trying to craft a plan to get them to where they need to be. And I always see it in their face. I see it in their eyes. I see it in their tone as they speak. They are optimistic. And I'm over here and I'm excited. I'm sitting here knowing, because I've had the privilege of being able to sit across from these beautiful people for years and years and years. And I'm sitting here knowing, man, if this sister do what she's supposed to do, man, this is gonna be something in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Like, she gonna forget she even had this. If this brother do what he's supposed to do, man, it's gonna be a thing of the past.
Yeah.
Seen it over and over, man.
Love it, man. I love it. So let me ask this. Obviously, it's case by case what the people need. You talk about being a herbalist. Are there what are 5 staples, no matter who you are, you should find a way to get into your diet, whether that's herbs or vitamins? Like, what would your list be?
That's an interesting question. That's a great question. So what happens is, on this journey, we figure out, hey, we need to be eating better. And we start cleaning it up, eating better. So in that way, we stop doing damage to ourselves. But here's the thing. Here at our spot, we have some of the most thoughtful, selective, clean, plant-based and vegan food and juices that you're gonna find.
Yeah.
But even that ain't enough. The reality, to get the level of nutrition that we really need, we'd have to eat a refrigerator full of this stuff on a daily basis. It's just not there.
Yeah.
Is
that because of the quality of the food?
Absolutely. We're selecting the best of what we got.
Yeah.
But man, things just ain't the same. The soil, nutrient depleted.
Yeah.
The water, not the same. The environment just is not the same. We just are not capable of producing the quality of food that we were in the past. We have to supplement. The herbs are the magic, brother. The herbs are absolute magic.
Yeah. You got to put me on game. So give me the list, because that's something that I have not implemented on my journey, but I definitely have been interested in.
So big picture, I put herbs into a couple different categories. You're going to be looking at cleansing herbs, things that are made to strip, things that are made to detox, things that are made to purge, things that are made to remove and cleanse. On the other side of that, you want things that are made to build. Build blood back up, build tissues back up, build with good substances. So, when we talk about detoxing, when I use the words detoxing, I'm not just talking about the stripping, I'm talking about the stripping and building up. And I like to do them simultaneously. Stripping, building. Nutritive herbs, purging herbs. Nutritive substances, purging substances. The way that I like to approach herbs as an herbalist, as a formulator, I like to do broad spectrum. So I put a lot of different herbs in my formulas, right? So you may go someplace and somebody say, okay, you need iron. And they'd be like, okay, burdock. or sarsaparilla. All right, yes, burdock and sarsaparilla are great sources of iron. I like to formulate where I put burdock, sarsaparilla, blue vervain, yellow dock, all these different iron-heavy herbs, because creation made each one of these plants different. They have a different makeup. It's almost like our tribe, right? It's me and you and the homie over here and Paul and all of us. We all bring something different to the party.
Yeah.
And together, man, we're powerful. We form like Voltron. Nothing's getting between the cracks. And there's a nuance that you bring that I ain't got. But we all got the iron, right?
Yeah.
But there's some nuanced stuff that you have. You got something for the central nervous system too. You got the iron and something for the central nervous system. And this guy over here, he got iron, but he's a blood builder. And this guy over here, he's got iron, but he's a blood cleaner, right? So that's kind of the way that we like to formulate. People are have become really big on sea moss now.
Yeah.
It's going to be really tough to get more bang for your buck than that sea moss. And that was another thing, man, that Sebi, we credit him for. He brought that really to our community, man. Nobody was talking about sea moss before Sebi. Very few, like in little pockets, you hear about it.
Yeah.
But it's a sea plant. It grows in the ocean. And because it grows in that saltwater environment, it picks up all these trace minerals. And the thing is, it is extremely bioavailable, meaning that it easily gives up those minerals to your body. Your body knows what it is. It's easy to process, and it can grab all those things that it's supposed to have. And it's got so many of the minerals that we need. And the benefits are just off the charts, right?
Yeah.
You're talking about collagen. It's a natural form of collagen, anti-wrinkle, good for the hair, skin, and nails. Good for the bones, joints, cartilage, and connective tissue. High amounts of calcium, selenium, phosphorus, manganese, all these things that we're not getting in our regular diet. So big fan of that one. More than specific herbs that I could name, I think there's some value in talking about different things that we should be addressing. Everybody's overlooking the kidneys. I'm gonna give up some game right now, man.
All right. Exclusive.
Yeah, so blood pressure. Everybody feels like blood pressure is an issue. Here's piece of game number one. Us as people of color, our numbers are gonna be slightly different. There are some genetic things about us that are gonna be a little bit different.
Yeah.
We both got cars, man. I got a Honda Civic out there. You got a Porsche Carrera. They both cars. They got 4 wheels. They got a steering wheel, transmission. I pull up at the light next to you. My car just sitting there, just as quiet. You're over there in that Porsche, man. It's whoa, 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 whoa. It can't wait to go just at rest. It's revving higher. Some of the baselines for the numbers that are supposed to be the indicators of how our health is, they weren't designed for us. They haven't been properly adjusted for us. Our blood pressure is going to run just a little bit higher. I'm not advocating for high blood pressure. I'm saying it's going to run just a little bit higher.
Yeah.
And so we shouldn't be so quick to be like, we go into the office, we're already experiencing white coat syndrome, right? You know what that is. Like when you go into the doctor's office, you're already kind of nervous, like, what the hell they gonna tell me I got now?
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, your blood pressure is a little elevated. Let's put you on a little something, a little low dose of something. And there we go on that treadmill, right? That hamster wheel. That's like the gateway normally. Let's give you a little something for your blood pressure.
Yeah.
Now that's going to be affecting other organs. Next thing is a little something for the blood sugar. So our blood sugar is going to be a little higher. Our blood pressure is going to be a little higher. But here's the game with blood pressure. The blood pressure, salt ain't the problem.
Yeah.
That's the first thing they say, salt. Salt's not the problem. Number one, the problem is all salt's not created equal. You want a good, high quality salt, right? We need salt. We need salt. But most of the things that we need have been bastardized and demonized. The messaging is salt is bad. No, we need salt. The messaging is sugar is bad. No, we need sugar. The messaging is carbs is bad. No, we need carbs. But we need them from the right sources and we need the right type. All salt's not created equal. All sugar's not created equal. All carbs not created equal. But we get this in our brain and it's just this storyline and we're not thinking through it. So high blood pressure, the way we deal with high blood pressure is we don't take people off of salt. We move them over to the right salt. You're actually going to need it to get your blood pressure right. You're going to need salt. The blood pressure is a function of the kidneys and the adrenals. There's two numbers there. There's a systolic and a diastolic, top number and a bottom number. Systolic is coming from the adrenals. Adrenals sit on top of the kidneys, like a little pyramid, and they control the autonomic nervous system. They are contributors to the autonomic nervous system. The autonomic nervous system is everything that's happening in your body that you don't have to think about. It's just happening. That's where that top number is coming from. And most of us are in some stage of adrenal fatigue. Our adrenals are beat up. High stress, bad diet, epigenetics. Generational trauma has been handed down through the DNA. You think them adrenals ain't beat up?
Yeah.
The stuff that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. Fight or flight all the time.
Yes.
Fight or flight all the time. And so the adrenals are beat up. Systolic is the adrenals. Then there's that bottom number, diastolic, root word, diet. Where else you heard that before? When your kidney's not working, you go to where? Dialysis. That bottom number is coming from the kidneys. So when people come with blood pressure issues, we put them on fruit. Fruit is astringent. We put them on, I don't even like using the word alkaline no more. We put them on a clean food diet. And we give them some stuff for their kidneys and the adrenals and to clear out the digestive tract, and the numbers go down.
Yeah.
Like, simple. This stuff is like, but we're not thinking through it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
So now for somebody who has diabetes and you're putting them on like this regimen, right? Are they still taking medication? Because, you know, I have family members that have diabetes and a ton of medication in the hospital all of the time. So what's the process? Are they like getting better and then the doctor is weaning them off certain medications, or what's the process with that?
Great question, brother. So people ask me questions like that all the time, and I tell them, you know what? I can't tell you to stop taking medication.
Yeah.
That would be immoral and it would be illegal.
Right.
But here's the thing. There's a lot of things that we don't have control over.
Yeah.
But what we do with our body, we got sovereignty over. And it is our own decision to make. And so what I tell people is that my job, along with whatever medical practitioners or doctors they go into, my job is to, number one, provide you with information. Really good information so that you can make really good and informed decisions about your own health.
Yeah.
And then after that, my job becomes to provide you, once you've made those decisions, provide you with access to products and services to be able to execute on the decisions that you made based off the information that you've gotten. That's a long way around saying everybody's got to decide for themselves. We work with people, however, if you want to be on your meds and slowly integrate this natural way, that's fine. We're going to work with you there. We're going to meet you where you're at. 99% of all the stuff that we have is not going to be contraindicated with any medications. It's safe. It's fine. It's just food.
Yeah.
That's all it is. It's just food. The herbs are food and the food is food. What I do tell people is I tell them what I've seen. What I've seen people have the greatest success with is begin to slowly wean themselves off of meds.
Yeah.
Right? Slowly begin to wean themselves off, because these chemical pharmaceuticals, they have a way of, each of them is going to stop your body from doing something that it would normally be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so to just take ourselves off of certain things cold turkey is not necessarily a best experience. But to titrate, that's the word we use, and to wean ourselves off of stuff, it'd be smooth, man.
Yeah.
It'd be super smooth, man. I've seen people drop their blood sugar numbers 50 and 60 points inside of 2 and 3 weeks.
Yeah. Amazing, man.
Amazing, right?
Amazing. Brother Cameron, I feel like there's so much more I want to talk about. Gotta have you back on the show.
know.
Like, I definitely want to dive more into the herbs and everything. But where can people find you? How can they get in touch?
Sure, man. They can find us here at the cafe, Beyond Vegan and Juice Bay Cafe. We're located in Westchester in Los Angeles. We're at 6208 West 87th Street. The telephone number here is 424-312-1169. You're gonna find somebody, a beautiful person on the other end of that phone, whether it's myself or one of these beautiful young ladies that work up here. And everybody here is gonna try and get you what you need and get you help. The socials are Beyond Vegan Eats on Instagram, My Juice Bay on Instagram. I got my personal Instagram, Cameron Moore, Electric Alkaline Living. And we're here to help, man. And we're having a good time doing it.
Yeah. I love it, man. Well, you know, I've been a fan since I came in. You see me here just about
all the time,
every week,
man,
multiple
for
times.
sure,
So
absolutely.
I can vouch for this spot, but yeah, man, I appreciate the wisdom, the knowledge, the good food, and providing something that our community needs, man. So I commend you on what you're doing.
Thank you, brother, and thank you. What you're doing is awesome, man. Using a platform to expose our people to some beautiful information, beautiful options. Like I said, it's out the box, man. This stuff has caught fire. It's people like you that's pushing it forward. We appreciate it.
Likewise, man. It's a pleasure, brother.
Always.
Yes,
Blessings,
yes.
brother. Thank you.